Hello, Reddit. Um, as you know from reading my post, I am selling everything I own and moving up into the mountains to live a much more simple life and hopefully um, build a little homestead. And in doing so, I have made the decision that because I cannot offer a stable environment, and especially in terms of temperature, for my animals over the next couple of years while I basically live outside and build a cabin, I have decided to rehome my leopard gecko. His name is Squirrel. I've had him for 4 or 5 years, and I think he was a couple of years old when I got him from someone on Craigslist who had him in a tiny little tank with like just a bunch of dead mealworms. It was terrible. So anyway, he's lived in this enclosure. It's an Exoterra 40, I think. Bioactive container. The plants in there are live. There are springtails in the soil in several locations, and all of the material in the enclosure came from the Serpentarium in town here, and that's a Lugardi store, I believe, and so all of the accoutrements in the cage came from the Serpentarium as well. So just get a little closer here, and you can see the various features of the enclosure. So at this end of the tank, we have the warm area. And I would say it's, like this, maybe this much of the enclosure is considered warm. It is heated at least. So a Zoo Med pad there, small, to warm up the back of this warm, dry hide. I don't think there's one on the back, no. And then there's a much larger Zoo Med pad underneath the cage. And I think it goes to about here. Temperature and humidity in the corner here. Here's the sensor. So this is cork. I don't mist or anything in here while I'm misting the rest of the wet area. I don't have anything inside the cork except a little bit of moss, dry moss at the back side, just to give him a little bit of cushion so he doesn't curl up against the glass where this heater is. And then this is, you're all familiar with this. There's no bottom to it. There's just substrate in here. And I soak this area liberally when I wet the cage down, which I do at least every other day. Soak all this, soak here, and then up into here. Water the plants. Water the plants over here. So, warm moist hide, warm dry hide, On top of the dry hide here is his little bathroom, and he goes up here exclusively, as you know. That is a benefit to owning a leopard gecko. They choose a spot and they poop there. So I'm not a real big fan of this moss, but I crumble it up and I put it up here. And then after he's gone to the bathroom, I just take it out with a pair of tweezers and put it in a little plastic dish so that I can kind of inspect it to make sure it looks correct. And then I put it in the garbage. And when this gets low of moss, I just crumble up some more and put it on there. And that has been great for years. So, as I said, it's a bioactive enclosure. There are springtails all through here. And even as you transition into the dry area of the enclosure, which starts about here and goes the rest of the way, except for the area that I have with the plants where I water. But this is his dry, cool hide. This is a rock, not for basking, but for hunting on. If I have something that moves slow and crawls, I use this as kind of a little place for enrichment, so he can hunt that animal, whether it's like a butterworm or something like that. If it's a dubia, can't put them here because they scamper away, and I don't feed him mealworms anymore. They're too, I don't know, they're just not right. Too hard to digest, and they bite. Sons of bitches bite, and bit his eye a while back, and he's still having trouble seeing out of that eye, although it is healed. So I'll put a slow-moving piece of prey here, and he comes out, and we'll hunt it on top of the rock. And that way, he can go and do his thing and not get substrate in with his food. And he comes out and sits on this sometimes, but it's not heated. Doesn't have a lamp over it. So, yeah, my fingernails are gross. And so it's not heated in any way, but he still likes to sit on it. Cool, dry hide. And then underneath the water dish, I can't even tell if that's in focus. I hope that's in focus. There is a major colony of springtails, and they exist in the several layers of leaves that are underneath the water dish. And these are like capata leaves or whatever. They're available online. But I put them underneath the water dish so that when I lift the water dish up, I don't get, 100 milliliters of substrate stuck to the bottom of it. And if I were to lift this up, I won't do it now because it's full, but if I were to lift this up to maintenance the cage and replace this water, there would be small colonies of fungus under here being attended to vigorously by hundreds, if not thousands, of springtails. And they don't stick to the bottom of the dish anymore because they've kind of learned to stay in the leaves. So there's probably 10 layers of leaf here, and as you get further down, it just becomes soil. But they're there to keep the dirt in the terrarium and not sticking to the bottom of this. So there's a little dude. His name is Squirrel, although I know that doesn't matter. Damaged? No, that's just shadow. So you can see a little bit of what looks like damaged skin he just shed, so it looks great. But right above his leg there, I took him to a vet once for antibiotics, and that son of a bitch shot him up with, it had to be 4 cc's of fluid right above each leg. And perhaps that's the protocol, but that turned into a major wound. Took 3 or 4 sheds to get him to, to lose it. And he's fine now. But that was bumming me out. That other, what looks like a wound right there, that is a trick of the light. He's just kind of crinkled up right there. Other than that, he's got a little stubby, one of his little fingers there is stubby. 1, 2, 3, his 4th finger over from the right. Because the first day I got him, I put him in here and rushed the door. And I thought I had gotten it closed, but boop, it pinched off the little tiny tip of his toe. And it hasn't grown back, and I still feel like dog shit about it. So anyway, he is coming out for food right now. I can take a break and show you how he eats. God damn phone. Alright, be right back. Alright, so here's his food in this cage here. And if I'm going to feed him dubias, which I generally do, that's his main food source. They're entertaining for him. They have a full complement of nutrients. They have soft shells, and they hold the vitamins really well. I don't feed him with vitamins every day, and for the sake of expediency, I will not do it today. But the food just lives in here, right in there. And so what I'm going to do, you've already seen his rock where he hunts slow stuff. He's up there now getting ready. But if I'm going to feed him dubias, I use this purpose-built. My fingernails are disgusting. I'm so very sorry for that. I've been working outside. So I use this purpose-built Lugardi. I don't know, it's a feeding dish, right? So it's fairly deep, but not so deep that he can't get in. It has a lip. So unless you've got really big dubias, they can't crawl out of this once they're in it. And so he can go hunt in this, and he knows how to do it, and he's fine with that, and not eat substrate with his food. So, I'm not going to show hauling these guys out of here, but they basically, they like to gather communally, and they're down in there. But I'll pull a couple out, put them in the dish, and be right back with you. Some of you have seen Squirrel eat before. I posted a video of him a couple weeks ago, but we'll do it again. So he usually comes out, sits on his rock, and gets ready to eat. I like to put the dish in this area and make him come over to the food. Yeah, he's going to do his thing. Give him a little something to listen to there. He is on it. So, really good eater. But I think a little blind. I think a little bit blind. You know, they're stupid when it comes to trying to hunt. But like I said, I'll never feed them mealworms again. That was a fiasco. I watched him catch it by the tail, and that motherfucking thing reared up and got him right in the eyeball. And that was the beginning of some trouble. You got one more, dude. He goes in his hide sometimes after he eats one. I don't know why. He always ends up coming back out. So he's looking for it. It's up here. That's why I don't think he's seeing very good out of that eye. Whoop. But he manages, you know, he does his thing. Good lizard. Real good lizard. And then, when I'm done feeding him, I may go for my finger now. I've got to make sure that doesn't happen. When I'm done feeding him, I take the bowl out right away and wash it. And you can see how easily substrate sticks to the bottom of that, which is why I put those leaves down underneath the water bowl, because it's wet under there. And it gets washed. And I can show you this. Get my shit together here. Try and take this out without letting him come running out of there. Okay. And I'll show you those springtails in a minute. So, no substrate on the bottom of that. Just a few springtails. I can't do anything about that. Those guys just gotta, you know, get washed down the drain. I hate to do it, but that's just, can't be fussy about every little thing. Okay, so you don't see, oh, there's some. Try not to shake this around too much, guys. Sorry about that. But so you can see a few of them moving around in there. If you, oh, there we go. So that's where the colony starts. And like I said, there's probably 10 layers of these leaves down in the dirt. And when they become compromised, I just put another few down. No problem. There's his calcium dish. I don't know if he goes for that. It doesn't matter. I put calcium in his water too. So again, there's his dry hide. And I don't fuss with that at all. I just leave it right there. It doesn't have a bottom to it. You guys are familiar with this from the pet store. I take the bottom off and then just put it right in the dirt. And it's a little moist in there right now because I just watered the plants, but it's dry. I keep all this soil pretty dry. Keep it dry back there. once a month or so, I wash everything with the same pump sprayer that I use to water the plants, and just wash everything down because of, well, the amount of dust that we have in our homes. You don't want it to collect on the wood or collect on the top of the enclosure or top of the hides or anything like that. You want all this to sort of be like it is in nature. The only part I don't wash down is the cork and the bathroom, because I want that to be dry all the time. So that's Squirrel. That's his enclosure. I hope someone is interested. He's a good lizard, and he's probably got maybe 7, 8 more years to live. And I just don't think he wants to homestead in the wilderness. It's not his gig. So thanks, guys.